Cool. Thanks, guys, for doing this.
No problem.
So what I wanted to talk to you guys about today was to introduce like the ideas of intonation, and then to put a little bit of it into practice, and just to think about new ways of playing in tune that maybe you guys haven't thought of before. So I thought that maybe I would just like spend a little bit of time just like discussing like what intonation is. Do you have any idea of like what it means to play in tune?
To play all the chord members like in relation to each other, I like playing obviously like the tonic like completely in tune, like 0 cents flat or sharp, and then playing the third flat, I think it's 16 cents flat, and then playing the fifth sharp, and I forgot how many cents sharp it's
just as a few, like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
So okay, so that's like a system of intonation we use, right? That's called the just intonation system, as opposed to our equal temperament, which is what the piano is using, right? But like, why do we do it?
Well, we also tune to like a specific vibration, like we tune to A440.
Right.
So, and like other people tune to other things.
Yeah, totally. Like historical performance, they like a lot of them tune to 415 or 430, depending on the period. But like, why?
Just the way that I guess like for the sound as well, because I know that obviously if you tune to like 440 or 442, it's like much more colorful.
Okay, cool. So we're like dancing around the right ideas.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to get at is that the reason that we play in tune, and the reason we play in the just intonation system, is that when we play 14 cent sharp, 6 cent sharp on the fifth, or in perfect octaves, that we create resultant tones. So the idea is that if we play, if we're all playing in tune, that it resonates better when you're dealing with the vibration of a string or a vibration of a fixed instrument, and also the way we hear. It's creating additional sounds that support the harmony that we're playing. So we like one way we talk about intonation is that we don't want to hear the beats, right?
Yeah.
And what those beats are actually like resultant tones that are not in the key that we want to be in, right? So the way that we can think about this is that I have this little handy dandy chart here. Imagine that these are frequencies, right? So this is the harmonic series, right? And this is the harmonic series it's in C, but we're not going to call it horn C just because it's easier. So if we have our fundamental, which we can't really play at 100 cycles, we're going to call it hertz. The next octave that we can play, this is our low C, right? That we're playing at 200 hertz, and then the next one we're doing is at 400 hertz. What's the relationship between each of these?
They double.
Yeah, right, exactly, they double. And then, so then the next one is going to be at 800 hertz, right? So when we play a major triad here, we have, what happens is that anytime you have two notes that are playing, the resultant tone is the subtraction of those two frequencies, right? So if we're playing a concert C and a C and an E, we have one at 400 hertz and one at 500 hertz. The resultant tone is going to be, which is what?
Fundamental.
The fundamental, right. And what happens when we play an open fifth, the C and the G?
Mostly 200s.
Yeah, which is our low C, right? So that's why we play in tune, is because that's supporting our key of C major. Now, if we were playing that in the key of F sharp major, that wouldn't be very helpful. I don't know why you would be playing this in that key, but that's like why sometimes that if you're playing a B flat in the key of C major, right? So the B flat would be what of the scale?
It would be the 7th.
Right, it'd be the 7th tone. So usually we play 7 tones, what, high, sharp, low, flat, super flat, like 29 cents flat. What that means, I have no idea. But like you're playing it within the frequency, like you have to bring it down a lot, right?
Yeah.
And until those natural vibrations resonate with each other, and then you get that what we call like just interval.
Yeah.
Now, if we are playing a B flat, sometimes in we're mostly talking about classical music here, because like once you start getting into like new music, sometimes that goes out of the window, but not necessarily. People like Ligeti wrote the horn concerto, and in the orchestra parts they play super cool overtone stuff. It's really super cool if you have a chance to listen to the piece. But if we're dealing with a B flat here, sometimes we're going to want to play that where it's supposed to lie. But then what happens if we modulate it to F major? All of a sudden our B flat becomes the fourth, in which case it's played like pretty much where it's supposed to be according to the keyboard.
Yeah.
Right? Cool. So I thought that we could experiment a little bit about when we're playing a major triad. Actually, what happens is that each note actually interacts with each other. So you actually have three. If you're playing a major triad, you have three different notes. You have a C, an E, and that would create a fundamental frequency, right? You also have the E and the G, that also creates the fundamental frequency. And you also have the C and the G, which creates an octave higher. So when we're talking about classical music, a lot of French horn's purpose was to play these, they call them horn fifths. You'll see this in the writing about how composers were thinking about music during that time, is that people like Mozart, early Beethoven, Haydn, were writing a lot of these wind pieces. You'll see 2 horns, 2 oboes, 2 bassoons or clarinets, or depending on what it is. A lot of times it's 8 people. And they'll put the horns just like playing these open fifths so that the woodwinds could kind of like gear into this, because their instruments were a lot worse than they are now. So let's try that out a little bit. Let's try playing a couple of intervals that we can see if we can try to hear some of these resultant tones. We were doing some before you showed up, before we started recording, that we were doing playing and singing at the same time.
Okay.
Multiphonics. Can you do any of that?
Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah, kind of.
Can you show us?
Yeah. I don't know how nice the pitch is going to be.
No, that's
I
fine.
get out of
Can you
sound.
play any of it? This is pretty cool. Nice.
That's what I was doing earlier. I learned how to do it for the first time.
So one thing that's like we were discussing about this is that how does it feel when you play that?
I don't like it.
Right, exactly. And so what's happening is the reason that it feels so weird is that your horn is vibrating at that resultant frequency, and so you're actually physically feeling that against your face, and so that's why we were doing. Resultant frequencies are always below the 2 pitches that you have, unless they're over an octave. If they're apart from an octave, they will be in between, which is just math. I mean, this is all basically just math. But if I'm going to play this G here at 300 hertz, and I'm going to sing sixth plus an octave above it, we're at 1,000 hertz. So that means the resultant tone is 700 hertz. So we're going to try to hear this B flat. So maybe I'll do the multiphonics first, and then we'll try it with the 3 of us. And I don't know if you can hear, but you hear this weird. That's the note we're looking for. On the open note would be the 7th harmonic on the open. I don't know if you can actually like exactly hear that there's a note there, but I can really feel it on my lips. So let's try it. Let's get you playing the G, and can you play the E?
Yeah.
So you're playing it, up there.
Oh, like the E, like
In the staff.
space.
Not yeah. And you're playing the G octave lower. Octave lower. Oh, actually, can you play it open?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good. So there is like a Is that the right? Oh, it was right. It should be the resultant tone, right? Let's try it again, now that I know what I'm listening for. Can you play a little louder? Yeah, there's this ringing. Okay, good. Awesome.
Yeah.
So it's I think that even on a recording like this, you won't be able to hear it. It's almost like that it happens like inside of our bodies or inside of our ears. It's kind of a very special kind of resonance that fills that we can feel that we're playing in tune, right? Okay, so how are we doing on time? We got 10 minutes. Awesome. So let's try to put some of this into practice. And I have these horn fifths. This is from Verne Reynold's Intonation Exercises for Two Horns, and basically, like, the idea is to practice these kinds of intervals where one person should stay stable and the other person should try to adjust to the other one. So why don't we put, well, you're sitting in the second chair, so why don't you play the lower line and you play the upper line, and you like stay fixed, play healthy, and then you adjust until we can hear those. And when you feel that it's like in the right place, I will like show the next note. So we're actually, instead of one measure, we're just gonna go note by note. Yeah?
Yeah.
Can you see it? Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So sorry, what notes are we on? G and E flat. Okay. Yeah, little S. Good, good. And the next one. That's awesome. You guys sound great. I think you're a little high. You play yours. We hear that. Wah, 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 wah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I heard that.
Yeah.
I dropped a lot more.
Yeah, right. Okay, so let's keep going to the next one. And you have F and B, right? Yeah, you can hear that awesome sound. So now if I was a woodwind player, it's super easy to play on top of you guys, right? So this is like what horn players do pre 1815. Cool. Should we try a different key?
Yeah. Yeah.
Almost too high. Yeah. There it is. Nice.
Oh, I thought that was a short.
It's okay.
Yeah, that's relatable.
You stop any players. Is A flat?
Yeah,
Yeah.
G sharp. Yeah.
Now you try to play that. A little higher. Too high. Cool. Awesome. Yeah. So can you feel this
Yeah,
kind
I
of
can,
like
I was
sensation?
seeing like when there's beads and stuff,
Yeah,
and like
yeah,
them
it was-
speeding up and slowing down with,
Yeah.
the changing
Yeah.
stuff.
And there's
Yeah.
a lot more on some of them that I like.
Yeah, some of the
Yeah,
some of the
right.
ones where they're like the horn pin, like this low G sharp.
Yeah,
which is
it's
gonna
this
be
having,
really-
so it's the, is it this, which one?
Like the sixth.
Yeah, that one's usually the roughest one, just because
The F and the B
register.
natural, and the F. Am I reading that?
The E
this
flat and G.
Yeah,
and G
this one
sharp.
just because like the register.
Oh,
the
yeah,
lower
okay,
parts, and
cool.
it's just like intonation wise, it just not
Yeah,
like, you know,
yeah.
it doesn't set well on the horn.
Right, yeah, totally. So we're actually feeling those beats, and that's
Oh,
what
yeah.
we want to be able to have those, because that's showing that now like we're supposed to be. What if we actually just go up chromatically from there? We have the G and the E flat, and then we go up G sharp to
Okay.
E natural, and then A to F natural.
Yeah.
So just each person is going up
Yeah.
chromatically, right? Good. Lift them up. I think it will. Good. Yeah, that one's really good. That one's good. Awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
What if we try to hit it some unisons here? Because I think that if we maybe when we're playing, so the unison is an interesting example, because like what happens with the resultant tone on a unison?
Cancels out.
Yeah, there is no, because well, ideally, if you're both playing it the same, the resultant tone is 0, right?
Yeah.
And the way that the resultant tone, when it's not totally perfect, say we have like 100 and 101 or whatever, that one tone will be the beat feeling against your face. Yeah, and I don't know, Mr. Clevenger says that you can't hear less than 3 hertz. Maybe that's true, but you could definitely feel it. So he was saying that yesterday in a masterclass. So let's try this a little bit. Maybe we try like from these B flats.
Okay.
Yeah. And can you play it on just the F side?
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that. Yeah. So you just hang out on the B flat,
Great.
and then you play, and when you feel it's ready, go up to the next octave, and then you jump back down. You guys are awesome. Okay, now let's switch and do up a half step. You play on B natural on the F side. Awesome, cool. So that sounds really good. Can we both play on the B natural, and then I want you to bend a little bit low, and then come back up,
Yep.
so that we can, and you can go as slow as you want until we can get back to that center pit
Okay.
part. We'll stop, and then I want you to try going up.
Okay. On the like, we're both playing the same note. And
Yeah,
just-
let's do it. Let's do it on G, like a written G in the staff. Awesome, and go up. Awesome, cool. Now let's swap. Cool. Okay, now we're gonna do it, and I want you to be able to tell if we're going higher or lower.
Okay.
Yeah? So you just hang out, and I'll do it.
Okay.
Yeah. Were we going up or down? No.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
It's
so
super
weird.
weird, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's really hard. It's really hard for us to hear intonation going high. It's much easier for us to hear stuff flat. Yeah, and we'll try it flat, and it'll be easier to.
Okay.
Yeah, can you hear that? Where like immediately you're like, oh, it's not in tune, which you can kind of tell, actually, I didn't bend, at least I tried, not to bend any more either direction.
Yeah.
Like, I think I went about maybe 30 cents or something like that each direction. But like, up a little sharp for the first 10 cents it's like harder to grab.
Yeah.
Like, we're really focused on it, so it's a little easier right now, but like when you're in rehearsals, that's why orchestras always end up playing sharp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the timbre doesn't change as much. It gets really ruddy when
Yeah,
it goes
right.
down.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was thinking a lot more. Yeah.
So if you listen to like really good soloists, like with really good orchestras, they play just a little sharp because it just gives a little more like excitement to the sound, and it doesn't, you don't notice it as out of tune. Like, yeah, you hear a little bit of some soloists that will do that, violin players, some horn players, all the soloist horn players in the world. Cool. Well, that's the video. 20 minutes, but.